On today's show, the guys are talking with Nancy Conrad of the Conrad Challenge. We've also got the East Initiative update. All of that and more up next on EduTechGuys.
EduTechGuys Radio. Radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed under the site and its programs are those of the participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to this episode of EduTechGuys Radio. I'm David Henderson.
Hey, and I'm Jeff Matlock.
Welcome to the show. Hope you're doing well out there. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening. We've got a great show for you today.
A great show. Today is a really exciting show.
Yeah, it is very cool.
I think you're going to be really intrigued about what our guest is going to tell us about, because it's some really cool stuff. And our guest has got some great stories about her life and, really exciting stuff. Just got me all excited. I don't know about you, but
you're chomping at the bit, and our listeners are like, "Well, just get to it, man."
I want to tell you what it was, but right after this commercial. No,
yeah, forget the banter. We're jumping straight into the interview.
Talking about commercials, I've been thinking about putting in one of those TV type EQ systems so that when our commercials on, they're like really loud.
Wow, you just blew out half our audience.
What's going on? You scared me. I just waking you up on the road. Hope that drive time's going good for you.
yeah, that's right. Hope you didn't spill your coffee in your lap.
Oh, yeah. So, hey, I hope things are going great out there. I think most of the country is back at it and back in the classroom and back going to school. And
are there schools still out there that don't go until after
September?
Labor Day or whatever?
I don't know. That would be great. Hey, listen, if you're one of those schools, tweet out to us. Send us a direct message on Twitter or just email us. Go down to the website, www.edutechguys.com. Drop it down to the bottom of the page, and there's a contact form there. Let us know when you start school. It'd be interesting to know across the country which schools start after Labor Day. Is that right?
Yeah.
After that,
and or if you're an all-year school, are there year-round schools?
There are some year-round schools out there. You didn't think I'd get that right, did you? But
wow, that was good.
Jeff's got a keen ear. He's not a very smart man, but he's got a keen ear. That's what.
Well, that's why you were in a band director for as long as you were, and currently play. So there you go.
What are you talking about?
Your keen ear.
Are you saying the musicians are dumb?
No, I'm saying you have a keen ear.
Oh, a keen ear.
Keen ear.
A keen ear.
That sounds like
Greg
candy.
Kinnear, like the actor. Greg Kinnear?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry. I don't get that reference. It must be before my time.
No, Greg Kinnear, the actor.
Can he? Can he hear?
I don't know. Do you hear what I hear? I don't know.
The sound of silence as everybody switches off the podcast.
What are they talking? These guys are not EduTech people. We really are EduTech people. Currently, I'm still wearing a 78 Casio calculator watch.
I actually was reprimanded for wearing one of those.
Just think about that. Yeah,
think about that.
How dare you bring a calculator on your wrist, you cheater.
Yes, you can't have a calculator. You're not going to have a calculator with you everywhere you go in the future.
When we built this building, we used a T-square, young man.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't you forget it.
Yeah, exactly.
When you do your taxes, you're going to need trigonometry and a T-square.
Yeah, that's right.
You better have an abacus with you also.
I had an abacus, but the doctor gave me some medicine.
We had one of those cute dog, short hair. Nice. Hey, listen, we are going to have a great show for you today. But first, a little commercial, and we'll be right back with our guest after this.
You're listening to EduTechGuys.com. Don't just listen to us. Bring us into your district today for cool, exciting, professional development. We'll teach you and your students how to take podcasting to the next level and use it to reach your classroom and to reach the world. Reach out to us on Twitter at EduTechGuys or head over to EduTechGuys.com. Scroll down on the page and fill out the form and we'll be in touch. Bring EduTechGuys to your school.
Hey, welcome back to the EduTech Guys. We're really excited to have our next guest with us. We're going to let her tell us who she is and where she's from and all that kind of good stuff. So let's take it away.
Hi, I'm Nancy Conrad, and I'm the founder and the chairman of the Conrad Foundation. And full disclosure, I'm a teacher. So I don't teach in the classroom anymore, but I still teach. I think once you're a teacher, you're always a teacher.
Yes.
Sort of like being a spy, you're always a spy.
Sometimes those are the same thing, right?
Some occasions. But I've been working on, I guess, transforming, reimagining education really all of my adult life. And if I'm working on being an adult, so that's a progress. That's a product and process.
There you go.
About 12 years ago, I had the good fortune to be married to an incredible man who, his whole legacy, it was such an inspiration to anyone that knew him. He was a boy that grew up outside of Philadelphia on the main line. And turned out he got expelled from a very ritzy-fritzy school. It's a wonderful school. And he had a little problem reading and spelling. He simply didn't know what dyslexia was. And they thought he was stupid and couldn't handle the coursework. And so they expelled him. And his mom took him to this little school in upstate New York. And the headmaster at that school saw something in this young man. And about the same time, my husband was learning how to fly. And that makes a difference in the story, which is why I'm sharing it with you. So he goes to this little school, and the headmaster sees something, and he takes him under his wing. And Pete ends up with a scholarship to Princeton, compliments of the Navy and Princeton. He liked to fly. He became an aeronautical engineer. 2 reasons: likes to fly, don't have to read or spell.
There you go.
It was a perfect combination for him. And he went on when he graduated from Princeton to become a test pilot. And when President Kennedy put out the word for a few good men to go to the moon, women didn't go to space in those days. Yes, sir, like to fly, don't care where you go. So Pete ended up 4 flights in space. He flew Gemini 5, which showed that we could be in space for 8 days, which was necessary. Gemini 11, which proved rendezvous, and then he landed a pinpoint landing on the moon on Apollo 12. Turns out Buzz and Neil were about 4 miles, from their landing site, and that could have spoiled their whole day. So NASA decided they would do a pinpoint landing. You got to really think about that because there was nothing to navigate from.
Yeah, sure.
Did that, and then he went on to fly Skylab, which was his favorite flight. The lab, when at first it was damaged at its launch, and it fell on Pete and his crew to rescue the lab. It was essentially cooking. One of the solar arrays didn't open. So with some very non-sophisticated equipment, they started yanking on this thing. In space, Pete's tied to a tether inside the vehicle, and he's yanking at the thing, and it opens up. And he said the first thing that went through his mind is he thought he was going to be the first arrow ever launched in space. The ray opened up, and there he was just flying backwards. So for the rescue of Skylab, he was awarded a Congressional Space Medal of Honor. Pete then retired from the Navy and NASA, and he did a short stint in the early days of cable television. The founder of cable was a mutual friend of ours. That's a whole other story. And then he went back into aviation and aerospace. That was his passion, his love. And I think one of those lessons that he shares with all of us is to find your passion and to follow your passion.
Yes.
So Pete ended up working, was at McDonnell Douglas at the time, which of course became Boeing. And he was working on early generation reusable launch vehicles that really was the corridor that opened to the commercialization of space. And it was flying, it was called the DCX. And in fact, we're coming up on the anniversary of the first flight of the DCX, flying out of White Sands Missile Range. And it was what I would have imagined to be like Pinamunda. I mean, these guys were sitting around till 2 o'clock in the morning talking about how they were going to get us all from California to Italy in 45 minutes going in low Earth orbit. Well, P.S. Italy just opened a spaceport, so I suspect this could happen. So, you know, what Branson, Musk, and Bezos do today really stands on the shoulders of Pete Conrad, who opened up that opportunity in the conversation he created for companies working in the commercial space sector. And on July 8th of 1999, he jumped on his Harley-Davidson motorcycle to do a ride with a bunch of guys that he'd been wanting to do for years and years and years. And they were going up to Laguna Seca to do a motorcycle rally. He liked machines. It wasn't speed. He loved machines.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he didn't come home. Yeah. So about 5 years later, I came up for air. I wrote his book, and it's called Rocket Man. I got to share a funny story with you about that if we have time.
Sure.
So after that, I thought, I don't have a PhD, but I do have a GSD. I get stuff done.
Yeah.
So what am I going to do? Right?
That is great.
So I end up taking Pete's legacy of education, innovation, and entrepreneurship, my passion for education, and I pushed those two pieces together, and we created the Conrad Challenge. So we invite teams of high school students, and I think we started with 20 kids. We asked them to create commercially viable solutions to big global and local challenges, basically in sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
This is about social impact. These kids are designing the future. They work in aerospace, energy, cyber, health. We're working with the Foundation for a Smoke-Free World. This is our second year with them. So how to keep kids from smoking. And what do we do with farmers that have built their whole livelihood around tobacco?
Sure.
Guess what? It's going to be obsolete. And so we're working with them. This is our second year. We've had fantastic things happen. I'll share one of those in a minute, too. And then we're also working with Smart Technologies. They do an interactive whiteboard.
Yes.
They're asking our students to reimagine education. What can you do in the classroom? What kind of technologies need to be developed? It's asking students to design education.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So that is, I'm such a fan of that because I think we push education at our students. We don't pull. The sage on the stage and all that, blah, blah, blah. It's boring and I don't want to talk about it. But to give the consumer an opportunity to be part of the development of education systems that are current and productive and exciting to these kids, man, that lights my candle.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
I'm very excited about that. All right, quick story about Rocket Man.
Yes.
So some years ago, we worked with Pepsi, and a gentleman by the name of Derek Yap was the head of their global foods. And Derek is a big figure in World Health Organizations. He's an amazing human being. And Derek was a good friend, and I gave him a copy of Rocket Man. And I hadn't seen him for a couple of years, and about 2 years ago, I get an email from him. Please see enclosed what I'm doing today, which he's the head of the Foundation for a Smoke-Free World. And here's how you came to my mind. He was at his home, and in his library, and his young son Julian walked in, and he looked up at his dad's bookcase, and he said, Daddy, why do you have a book about Kim Jong-un? Of course, the book is So we've been working together ever since, and we've done some spectacular work. May I share a story with you about one of our young students that worked in that particular category this year?
Oh, yes,
absolutely.
Please. Yes, please.
This is a young man from Nigeria, and he and his team, and it's called Neon, created a product, as I mentioned, to work with farmers in Africa, a whole app system so that they could actually manage their farms and the banking and all those pieces. Okay, park that there. Then we have a partnership with a group called Nexus. Are you familiar with Nexus? Yes. Nexus has been a wonderful new partner of ours, and particularly as it relates to judges and subject matter experts. And they invited our students to come to their global conference, which was held in New York. And the opening night was at the UN. So this young man, his name is Alfalabi Williams. He's 12 years old. He stood up on the floor of the UN. There were about 250 people there. And he knocked it right out of them.
That is awesome. Oh, did we lose you?
But I was a prisoner, pause, of my own mind. I didn't know I could do things until I found the Conrad challenge and their no box thinking. And now I know I can do anything. Well, the place just came down. I mean, you got a standing O. He's so adorable and charismatic, you could just eat this kid up. What's really interesting to me, that story, which I love, is the value of this mindset that we help our children to see. There's in-the-box thinking, there's out-of-the-box thinking, and there's no box. What this really does, and the whole competition at the end of the day is, yes, kids get patents, they deploy products, they have learned how to learn.
Yes.
They've learned how to think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So learning how to learn and learning how to think, now you can do anything. Yeah. So that's the real takeaway of what we do. Very student-centered. The kids pick their teams. They choose their coach. It has to be an adult. Could be a teacher after school, a parent. They pick their topic. They create their solution. And then we've devised an online system for them to understand the tools necessary to do innovation and entrepreneurship. And of course, no surprise, it's called the No Box Toolbox. So that's kind of our little piece of the world. It's a funnel competition, and we launch on the 24th, I think it is, yes. And it's a funnel, and so the kids come in a very easy level with a video and some questions, and then they enter in and they begin to write their business plans, market studies, visual representations. Many kids create prototypes. Mm-hmm. And then on the back side of this are subject matter experts and judges that evaluate these students' ideas with a rubric. It's difficult. And the ones that come through are invited to come to our Innovation Summit, which we hold at Kennedy Space Center. Oh. And the best way I could describe that to you is it's Shark Tank meets the Academy Awards for students.
There you go.
And it's beyond. These kids become a global community of young innovators. They stick together. We have an alumni association that we work with. We just brought one of our alumni onto our board of directors, and he runs that show. And we have professional development, and this is, the year that we're going sky high with this. We have been very mindful of the legacy that we carry, and, and I've got my name on it too. So we wanted to make sure that everything was really, what Pete would call it, sweet, clean, and pretty is what he would say.
Sweet, clean, and pretty.
So, and you never go wheels in the well unless you can throttle back appropriately. So we're throttling back this year, and we're going to the moon. And by the way, we're coming up on the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. So stand by. We may have some fun things for you.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
That's really awesome.
That's awesome. So one of the things that I think stands out, at least to me, is the fact that not only do you have this particular competition that these students take part in, but the entrepreneurial side of the things they are developing. And
right.
what really grabs me is that you have these students who come together, they have an idea, a product they want to come up with, a solution for whatever their particular problem is they're trying to solve, and they walk away with, at least I'm making a huge presumption here. You can follow up with this once I get to my point. But they walk away with the tools that say, hey, I developed this, yeah. I own this, and this is now part of my legacy, even though right. I'm however old I am, 12 years old. I already have a legacy, and it's something that I can turn around and sell if someone is interested. So we have these young students who are already learning that the learning they are doing and the learning they're taking ownership of can turn around and immediately translate into either money in their pocket or something philanthropic, or something that they can then turn around and share with the world.
Yeah.
So here's, I talk about there was an educator that took Pete under his wing, and Pete got his moonshot.
Yes.
That's what we do. We take kids under our wing, they get their moonshot. Now, how that defines for them is how it defines for them. Some of them get patents, some deploy products, some stand on the floor of the UN and blow it out of the water, standing O's. Some go to the White House. Some have spoken with me at TED Talks. Some have spoken with me at other events. Some patents, some don't. And we do have a patent award that's part of our competition.
Oh, that's nice.
With 2 very large law firms that students can apply to get a pro bono patent. And then what they do with it, I'll share with you. We have one team out of Florida, out of Miami, and they created a low-cost, portable water purification system. So they actually did it for Haiti when the earthquake happened, and then it turned out it went across, I think it's in 9 countries now. So it's kind of ironic, but it's in a birthing clinic in Nigeria where babies used to, out in the country in Nigeria, babies used to come out of the womb washed in dirty water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because these kids in Florida, babies are washed in clean water.
Yeah.
We love that. What these kids do with it is whatever they want to do with it. We recommend that they license it. That way they keep their IP. I'm not a fan of dropping out of school and going and making a company at the age of 17 or 18.
Right.
That's up to them. I'm not their mom. I've done my thing.
Right.
So yeah, it opens, most importantly, it opens their mind to the possibilities of all the things that they can do.
Yes.
I'd like to delve into, like you said, Pete said, follow your passion. And that's every successful person, that's their mantra, is follow your passion. And they do whatever it takes to get to that, the ups and the downs. So thinking about the Conrad Challenge and what we're giving students, but I was noticing that they get involved, your coaches and your educators. Can we talk about what you provide for those educators, those teachers out there, so that they can be that one light? Because sometimes it just takes 3 months for a kid to find that one teacher to spark that passion forever.
And I think all of us could tell the story of the one teacher that made a difference.
Yes.
I have to think about that a little bit. Mine was actually not till university.
Yeah.
When I was in graduate school.
Yeah. That's how mine was undergraduate. Yes, I remember.
Well, there you go. Sometimes you got to wait a while.
Yeah.
And a kid like Pete, the first time he was ever in an airplane, he was 6 years old, and he was just smitten. He understood systems, and he was dyslexic. So you have to think about, what that was to be in a thing that you could understand what was going on when you mostly didn't understand anything else.
Sure.
And so that lit his candle, as he would say. And, the teachers that work with these students we also have a Teacher of the Year award, by the way. That's my award to the teacher. Oh, and they get this really cool, it's like a Buck Rogers rocket thing with this neon thing that spins around and goes to the school.
That's cool.
It was actually made by Eric Lindbergh, who's the grandson of Charles Lindbergh.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Yeah, so these teachers are as passionate and innovative, and it really becomes a, a scenario of excellence where the students are asked to raise up higher than they ever have been. And guess what? So are the teachers.
We were just talking about expectations.
Yes.
And it's funny.
So I think, the teachers get as pumped up and excited about this as the kids do. We have some teachers that'll take their whole classroom and divide it into teams, and then we'll sometimes get 20 teams out of a particular school.
Wow.
Because they're using this to teach their STEM classes.
Yeah, peer pressure and it just expectations. It's interesting when you talk about it that Pete found that right educator who didn't label him. And that's where we are right now in this country, is to stop placing labels on children. But we've got to find that perfect teacher, and it sounds like the Conrad Challenge is helping build teachers. And
we're a vehicle for it.
That's right. Yes.
We are. I worked with a bunch of teachers. I was at a particular event, and our head of education was working with them and showing them how the No Box Toolbox works.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going, we don't get it. We just don't understand.
Yeah.
What do you want us to do? Well, what do you want to do? Well, we don't know what to do. Is there a test? No, there's no test. Oh, well, we don't know what to do. So when they got, I said, well, what's something in the classroom you'd really like to create something around it to make it better? Oh, leadership. Let's find a way to make leadership better. I said, okay. So now they could design the whole thing. You got to look at what's the challenge you want to solve.
Sure.
I don't use the word problem because I think it's kind of negative. So what's the challenge?
Mm-hmm.
There's enough challenges out here right now, today, that there should be absolutely no lack of creative imagination for anything you can do, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And what a concept that is in the classroom.
Yeah.
Well, and I really do. I love that you opt to use the word challenge. I would challenge, using it in a different way, but seriously, I would challenge educators who are really who are already doing a lot of PBL to consider perhaps thinking in terms of CBL, challenge-based learning versus problem-based, project-based.
Right, and even project is less than challenge-based because project, I can make a teacup, that's my project.
Right.
I can make a t-shirt, that's my project. But when I'm taking styrofoam and turning it into, which is not degradable, into carbon crystals for water purification,
Right.
That's a product.
Well, it's
and a challenge.
Well, and there's the thing about a challenge. I love the word challenge because in every challenge, it in turn creates more challenges. So they just continually build off of themselves, and it's wonderful.
And some of these kids will come back 2-3 years at a time because they've tweaked it.
Yes.
Well,
they got it better. They, with this one graduated, the other one comes in. We had a team a couple years ago. I think it was their third time in the cybersecurity category, and they finally won. Oh man, they were so excited. They created an awesome product, and I had one call recently with one of them. It's moving along, and it will or it won't. It's not even the point that the product goes to market.
Right.
But don't tell the kids that. No, I'm kidding. But the products are, look, we had one of our students that worked with us a few years ago. Recently, she and her brother created a diagnostic app for diagnosing diabetic retinopathy. Okay. 16 years old.
Yeah.
I couldn't spell diabetic retinopathy. And the FDA just approved all this stuff. She got early admission to Harvard. She was here at the Smithsonian in a thing called The Long Conversation. It was a fascinating platform. The interviewee became the interviewer. She was the last one to be interviewed. She was interviewed by Yo-Yo Ma.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Not a bad day in a 16-year-old.
I'm saying.
Not at all.
We've got some spectacular kids doing amazing work. I'm just so proud of all of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and they're like my kids. Yeah.
Yeah, we're running close out of time, but I want to. I know it's all right. Can you believe that 20 minutes flew right by? So we're. But here's the thing we've got to do. First of all, I want to give a huge shout out to the Conrad Challenge. So if you were listening right now, definitely want to visit the site conradchallenge.org. Just go to Google, tap it in. You're going to find it. Just look up Pete Conrad, and you're going to find it. And don't forget about. So what's another great way? Are you guys on Twitter and all that kind of good stuff?
We're on Twitter. We're at Conrad Challenge. Oh, and check out our new logo. We're in love with it. And Facebook, we're at Conrad Challenge. And on YouTube, we have a YouTube channel, Conrad Spirit of Innovation Challenge.
Awesome.
Okay, and we open registration on Friday the 24th.
Okay, Friday the 24th of this. Oh, that's coming up next week.
That's coming up. So it will close October 19th, and then the investor pitch submissions are due November 2nd, and then we will have our big event at Kennedy Space Center the 24th to 27th of April. You guys should come.
That would be awesome. We are going
to.
We will talk. We would love to be there.
Yes,
we'd love to be there.
Yes, we would love to be there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
It'd be great fun. And you can interview the kids.
Oh,
that'd be great.
That's one of our fortes. We love to talk to kids.
Something to talk about. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
What can I say? It went fast.
Yeah, it did go fast.
Hello there. I'm Jerry Prince with East, with this week's East Update. If there's a knock at the door or the ring of the phone, and on the other end or other side is someone younger, a student, you possibly have first impressions even before speaking to them. You possibly could even wonder what they're selling or what do they want. You might even jump to the defensive, already looking for a way to say, "No thanks, kid." For students, getting clients or possible partners to give serious consideration is a challenge. This concept recently entered into the conversation we were having with students from McCrory High School. Kinley is a senior there, heading into her second year with East. One of their projects is R-Cubed, renovating, renewing, and reviving, with the focus on updating their softball complex. Kinley mentions one of the challenges they had early on in working on this project.
It's been working pretty good. The main problems we've had is people from our clients that we work with, they're not necessarily getting their stuff done, so it makes our job a lot harder. So those are some of the problems we've had.
The McCrory softball team went 22-4 overall last year, 13-3 in conference. Kinley says the team's hard work and dedication is certainly evident in their record, and they wanted the updates to their film to be a recognition and reward to their work as well. Some of the challenge in working with adults could be due to the fact that they just started East last year. And though things may have started a bit rough, they've gotten much better.
Usually working with adults, they kind of actually take us a lot more seriously just because we are in East and they understand what we're doing. So it's not as hard as it may seem, but it's definitely different.
We'd like to add that things truly have gone well. McCrory High School East facilitator Heather Height is one of 2 East facilitators nominated for Arkansas Teacher of the Year. Congratulations to Heather, and special thanks to Kinley for sharing some comments on their first year of East. If you're interested in learning more about East, please visit eastinitiative.org or just search for East Initiative on social media. Our student composer this week is Josh from Magnolia High School. His featured work, Night's Duet with the Tides. With the East Update, I'm Jerry Prince. Thanks for listening.
Thank you so much to Jerry Prince and all of the folks over at the East Initiative for providing this week's update. And what an incredible interview with Nancy Conrad. That was awesome.
Wow, it's the stuff of dreams, really. I just had a blast. I don't know about you, but it was really cool.
It's funny when we first connected with her, we didn't realize what her connection was to, Conrad and the space program and what have you. And so she starts telling you stories and we're like, wait a minute, Google that real quick. Oh my gosh,
Immediately I was like, I knew what she was talking
exactly.
about. I was like, what? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But the Conrad Challenge, what a cool thing. And we were talking, off air about East and the Conrad Challenge being a neat hookup. That'd be a really cool partnership right there. So maybe it'll happen.
Maybe so. And as I mentioned during the interview, I really do think it is awesome that we have programs like that are showing students that the stuff they're learning in school can translate directly and immediately into entrepreneurial ventures.
Endeavors, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's good. Entrepreneurial endeavors.
Endeavors.
Yeah, good word.
Thank you. Well, I'll keep that in copyright Jeff Madlock LLC. Not to be used outside of Jeff Madlock LLC. Everybody's going, who? Yeah.
Yeah, what?
And with that, it's been a great show.
It has been, man. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for listening, and we hope you tune in to some more. Check us out on SoundCloud. Listen to all the shows, and keep up with us. I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs of those participants are not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.